Welcome to the podcast, guys. Today I'm joined by, and we were spent a little bit of time prior to this chat, and Jim and like we said, we're not quite sure where this is going to go because Jim has his hands in so many things. But I'm joined by Jim Madrid, a seasoned entrepreneur, leadership coach, founder of both Madrid Partners and Advanced Sports Technology Academy. It's just Jim's journey is really seriously a testament to the resilience and innovation. I mean, from his early days at Nordstrom, really to becoming a sought after mentor for athletes and executives. It's clear that Jim has always believed in the power of mindset. And I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of his personal battle with cancer, which is remarkable in and of itself. But it just further exemplifies his unwavering determination and positive outlook. So Jim is really revolutionizing mental fitness, I'll call it, just equipping individuals with tools to excel both on and off the field. So, Jim, welcome to the show.
Michael, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And thank you for joining us. And you kind of still at the tail end of your vacation. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no
So,
problem.
yeah, I mean, it's clear your journey is inspiring to so many when they hear it, but can you share a little bit of what really led you to start your multiple ventures? Like, just take us down the path of how your personal experiences really shaped those ventures.
Well, growing up in Seattle, Washington, I now live in Southern California, but growing up in Seattle, my mother went to work for the Nordstrom Corporation back in 1958. And of course, when I turned 15, you're getting a job. So I was in the stock room. And and I watched that culture at Nordstrom. It was amazing, and I had, again, as we talked earlier, before the podcast, was, that kind of a serendipitous kind of life. And, you know, when I decided I wanted to sell shoes, that was great. My mother taught me. And then at 18, I thought I'd rather sell ladies' shoes. It was a little bit more fun. And that's a whole nother podcast. Okay. Anyways, and then I had the opportunity to lead. And Jim and Bruce Nordstrom became mentors of mine, which was pretty awesome. And,
Nice.
just learning that whole Nordstrom, when I do talks any place and we're talking about service oriented and business, when you ask people what is Nordstrom known for, and they say service, yet the culture of that company has completely changed back in 1988 or 89 when they went from a private corporation to a public corporation. It turned completely around. It wasn't about the customer anymore. That wasn't priority. Still is, but it's changed its culture. And yet the culture of service has lasted through all that. And that to me intrigued me. And then at the same time, at 15 years old, I went to a private school and there was the football coach. I was a soccer player, but he could see I could, you know, strike a ball pretty well. So he made me the punter on the football team. His name is Lou Tice. And Lou became and started a company in 1971 called the Pacific Institute out of Seattle, Washington. And, my career in sales and leadership from the time I graduated from school to about 1991 kind of led me to Lou in 1991. And I went to work for him. And, it just kind of looking at different and working at different organizations throughout and seeing all these different styles of both culture and leadership. And it always led me back to kind of that Nordstrom style. And, and I thought, okay. And then when I went to work for Lou, his kind of process was, which I continue today, was if you're going to, you want to develop your company, shouldn't you develop your people? Their belief in themselves, their self-efficacy,
Yeah.
of what it, first off, if I can increase the efficacy and the belief in individuals in themselves of what's possible, and then in the belief in the efficacy of my teammates or my coworkers, and believe in my management team, and then the leadership team and the direction, the vision, and mission of the organization, well, then now we got something. And I think that's where I come up with the one team, one direction. And it's, there's a lot in between, but if I can develop self first, I think that's where it all starts.
And I
That's kind
definitely want to
of
dig, yeah, I
mm,
want to dig more into that, especially how you work with small business to corporate teams. I know you work with any like small teams and large teams. Before we get there, I don't want to forget about really your battle with cancer, and I like how did that impact really your journey? Like how did those experiences influence your approach to leadership and mental fitness? And tell people a little bit, quickly about what that journey entails because it's
yeah.
pretty
Let,
remarkable.
let's start there, and then I can use that as kind of stepping stone to other things. Again, I'm a devout Catholic, and so I have a lot of faith. Not only faith in God, but it also took the faith in my family. It took the faith in my doctors, and I was not against Western medicine whatsoever. But on April 1st, no joke, of 2022, um, yeah, um, I had dropped a number of pounds. I was down to 118 pounds from about 150.
My goodness.
My wife, kept asking what's going on. And then I got up one morning and coughed up some stuff you're not supposed to cough up. And she goes, up, we're off to the
Mm.
hospital. Short story, I was diagnosed with stage 4, lots of tests, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And laying in that hospital bed the next day when the doctor came in, they told us on that night before that there was a mass in my liver. And then the doctor came in, told us it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Um, you know, uh, you know, you know, your perspective changes, that whole
Yeah.
saying, oh yeah, oh yeah, it
Yeah.
does. But here's how, all these years, and I just feel like, and this is just my faith, um, is that I feel like all the things I've gone through, the challenges of starting my own business, um, back in 1996, I left Lou and went and opened up my own business. And, had about $600,000 of investment capital from a VC group. And the CFO that they appointed embezzled us about $380,000 immediately.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
my.
Yeah. At the same time, I was going through a custody battle with my ex-wife. And the same week, I found out that after 4 years of being in a battle and child support and blah, 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 which I was always paying my child support, I found out that I now owed her $80,000. So my business is upside down. This is all
Mm.
in the same week. Okay. And my wife said to
Yeah.
me, my wife, and we've been together now 30 years, and she said to me when I go, hey, you didn't sign up for this. She said, Jim, all this is going to do is give us, stronger legs for bigger strides. And we went after it,
Mm.
got over that and built that one. Now, that day, I'm being diagnosed, and the doctor leaves the office, leaves my room, I mean, and then in comes the nurse. And we're in the oncology department of this hospital. And the nurse comes in looking at my chart, and she says out loud in front of my wife and I, wow, I've never seen anybody with this much cancer in them. And I thought my wife was going to,
Oh,
rip her
goodness.
face off. And I kind of put my hand over and
Uh,
held my wife, Darcy, back. I said, Darcy, watch what I do with this. Now we had to get on the phone and call our 5 children. And again, I have 4 boys and a daughter, and my daughter cried out, "Oh no!" She's at that time 24 years old, 23, 25 years old,
mm.
and I could hear my boys snickering. And my wife said, "Today's about crying. Tomorrow we go to work to support your father to beat this thing." We talked a little bit
Yeah.
more, and then she repeated that again. She said to the kids, all this is going to do is give us stronger legs for bigger strides. And Michael, I had a
Wow.
choice. I had a choice to make, and that choice was I could either take it as a death sentence or an opportunity to triumph. And I think that lesson there is where I'm talking in about an hour. I'm talking with a cancer patient. I talk to cancer patients, once, twice, a week, new ones a week, where they're gone through the same thing I'm going through.
Hmm.
And, to me, it's like, um, if I can get, and some of them have the mindset already. Somebody will call me up and say, "Hey, Jim, will you talk to my," and they've got cancer. They've got terminal cancer. They've been given so many days to live. And I talk to doctors all the time. And I ask them, have you ever told anybody they've got terminal cancer? They go, no. But there's that mindset where you hear stage 4
Yeah.
pancreatic cancer. It's I've never seen so much cancer in somebody. And immediately I could have taken that and got, oh, I'm done. And and then, a month and a half later, no chemo, no surgeries, no medication whatsoever. But there's a whole process that mentally that I went through, holistically. I had a gentleman give me an electromagnetic machine, a PMF machine, and
Hmm.
mindfulness stuff that we did. I mean, everything, prayer, everything. It takes a village. And a month and a half later, just got a call from the hospital, from the doctor's office, scheduling my chemo. And an hour later, my oncologist called me up and said, good news, you don't need chemo. We went, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, good news, the other news. And he never used the word bad news. He goes, the origin is now non-small cell lung cancer, two of the most deadliest cancers. And within that 18 months, in September of 2023, I was cancer free. Yes, I had some radiation. And yes, they put me on a medication
Yeah.
for the lung cancer and to keep it at bay, and it's done its job. And here I am up on Orcas Island enjoying life every day. Went on a 4-mile hike the other day up a mountain, playing golf, traveling, and working. And, but again, and my messages to leaders, anybody really, is how are you going to approach it? I mean, what's your mindset,
Hmm.
And sometimes they just don't think about that as their brain when they hear something or something like that. You know, I went to the bank and I said, I think there's something wrong with my checking account. And the lady said, yes, your CFO has held up all the, we were all getting fake financials. And back then, in 99, um, you didn't get it all online. He was keeping
Right.
the statements and canceled checks. She brought out 3 months of canceled checks and statements to me. And it was like, I mean, I walked
Oh,
out of her office and walked across the street into a parking lot, went running to the back and just hurled my guts up. It was the most surreal thing ever. And then 2 days later to find out, oh, and back then you're a deadbeat dad if you owe back child support. They took my driver's license, they took
hmm.
my passport, and it's like, okay, bring it, let's watch what I do with this. And I think, how can we get that mindset into people? And that's what my new book is about, is Meatballs and Mindset, recipes for a positive life. I took my
Hmm.
Italian heritage and everything there and the culture of the Dolce Vita. And and 2.5 years ago, when I started writing a book, and it was going to be called It's All About Mindset, because people ask me, where did you get that? And so, if I could share that and those recipes for, like, that question you just asked, how did I get there? That's it, and how do you, it's all about mindset. That was going to be the name of the book. And I repeat that throughout the book. It'll be out in mid-September, but you know, I, I'm really enthused about it. We've sent it out to the manuscript to a few people, and the early from people that run organizations from City of Hope. The president, Annette Walker at City of Hope, Orange County. She's going to put it in the bookstore. It's going to be in all of her leadership. She does a book club, for her leadership team. And not only they're going to do it around around the book, but also I'm going to be coming in and doing some workshops with them on leadership. So I just think that, again, My dad was the ultimate optimist. And I coined him as he's a realistic optimist. And I can remember 6 years old telling us kids that, expect the best, but be prepared for the worst, right? And I'll give you an example of his optimism. 86 years old, living by me in San Juan Capistrano. And I get a voicemail message from him a few years back, God rest his soul. And he left a message saying, son, I've been in an accident. Give me a call. I'm okay. So I give him a call and I go, Dad, what happened? And this is how he explained it. Typically, somebody would say, well, the guy, I wasn't paying attention and the guy just didn't use his turn signal, blah, 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 blah. And I hit him and it was his fault, blah, no, not my dad. I go, Dad, what happened? This is how he explained what happened. I met the nicest people today. The guy I hit totally understood me. The cop that gave me a ticket, blah, 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 the tow truck, that was my dad, right? Expect the best, but be prepared for the worst. And I think that level of optimism has kind of slipped away. And what we need is more, is to get rid of that pessimistic, let's get real. That could never happen. Well, give it a chance at least. I got dealt a pretty shitty, excuse my language, cards. And, today I'm a less than 1% survivor of what I've gone through. And if I could do that, hell yes, you could find your damn car keys, so.
I mean, I will tell you one of the most powerful learnings of my life, which isn't always easy to implement, is really that we can't impact the events that happen around us, but our responses to it
That's right.
100%
That's right.
affect the outcome, right? You can same two people go through the same thing, land up in completely different places, and that's one thing I always try to keep with me is that my responses are everything.
Uh-oh.
Oop. Yeah, okay.
There we,
Yeah, I think
there
I
we
lost you for a
go.
second, but you're back. I got you.
There was a little bump.
Yeah.
So next question.
Yeah. So then how do you take that and tell us a little bit about the work you do kind of with business leaders and because it's a very different mindset. I mean, it's easy to say that, but actually taking that and implementing that in your life, in your day-to-day work life is another thing. How do you
Well,
work with them to get to start them on that journey there?
you know, I get called in to do that kind of work with a team. And come on, we've all been there, Michael, right? We've all been there. Oh, this guy's coming in. Who's he? A guru? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
HR says, "Hey, we're going to a meeting, right?" Oh, and does the whole world go, "Oh, I can't wait"? No. We're gonna you're gonna be gone 2 days. And so put all your business aside, and they're going, "Oh, what the hell is he doing now?" Right? So we know that. So
Yeah.
again, but doing your due diligence up front, doing a little, triage, if you will. Okay. So we send out questionnaires to the leadership team. What are your goals in these specific areas? And when it comes to your people, what do you see as their roadblocks to achieving those goals as a team? And then we send it out, we get the questionnaire back, and either we're on campus or, on a Zoom call with them. And it's really funny, Michael, because some of them give you short answers. Some of them just write you a diary, right? And the ones with the short answers are the ones that are going, oh, no, who is this guy, right? And you get on the phone with them and you start asking them. It's really interesting because it's almost like if you're in their person, you go in their office, they go, okay, sure. And then I sit down and I go, okay, blah, blah, blah. And they get up from their desk and they go, let me shut the door. And now they see, so why would he be asking this question if they didn't have a solution for it? Sorry, plane
Right.
going. Why
Yeah,
would
I can hear
they
you.
ask,
It's okay.
okay, why would they be asking that question if they didn't have a solution for it? And so now they become more intrigued, and now we have a little bit more engagement with them. And so when they sit down, and we kind of tell them what the program is all about, what the process is all about. So again, self-development. So we give them a concept. Let's say take change by the hand. It's the first one of a workshop. Take change by the hand. 10,000 books on the subject of change, right? And more coming out all the time. But it comes down to two different types of change: external change and internal change. External, it's like, I kind of compare it to the loss of a loved one, from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's the emotions of grief, right? Denial,
Hmm.
anger, bargaining, depression, and the one she said is they get to is acceptance. Okay, and so now we take them through that. And then there's personal reflective questions, okay? And those personal reflective, now, how do I accept change? What are the things I'm looking forward is coming up now, right now, that are changing? So we have a number of those kind of questions. So we give them time to ask that, and then we bust them off into groups, and we have group discussion, which I call team huddles. And now we huddle up around what changes is our company going through. How do we typically respond to change? How can we use change as an ally? And always ended on a positive, moving forward kind of thing. So that's the personal development. I got to look at self first. And then I get in, and when they come into a session, that they all sit next to their best friend, right? That they complain
Right. Yeah.
all the time. And everybody says, should we divide them up? I go, don't worry, I'm going to divide them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 groups. And now ones are all over there, and twos are over there, and three. Then you bring it back. I've had leaders go, well, take change by the hand. There's really not much change that's going on. I can't get them off the tables from the group discussion about all the changes. Damn, I had no idea that we had that much going on.
Right.
So
Yeah.
again, so it's called the 10 Principles of Entelechy. And entelechy is a word by Aristotle that means a vital force urging someone or something towards self-fulfillment. So we all are a bundle of entelechy, okay? What drives you? What drives your team? What drives this organization? And that's what kind of comes out. And then the next step is then we do a little vision session, right? I'm really not into doing vision mission statements. But what I am into is, yes, vision and purpose. So what's the vision of the organization? If you could say, hey, here's the vision. AST, Advanced Sports Technology, when we started that in 2014, was to put 500,000 kids through our program by year end 2026. We're real close to that, right? And what's the purpose behind it? To supply these kids through the window of sports, life skills, the mental skills to deal with life's
Right.
everyday challenges, big or small, and having some sort of worthy of happiness in their life. That's our purpose. Okay, so purpose drives vision. Vision drives performance. But if you
Hmm.
don't have that purpose behind it, and I'm sorry, I'm not into what's your why. That's just so
Yeah.
true. Michael, I don't wake up every morning wondering what my why is. I wake up with purpose every morning. Okay. I
Right.
work, especially, right? We took that hike to the top of the mountain the other day, and it is a spectacular view. The islands over San Juan Islands, beautiful day. And I'm taking it all in. And here comes these two ladies coming down. And I was standing there looking at it, and they go, pretty spectacular, huh? And I go, yes. And one of them says, kind of puts it all in perspective. They didn't know me. And I just
Right.
started tearing up. I mean, yeah, you, it does.
Uh-huh.
And so,
Big time.
right. And so when I look at organizations, I got one of my football players a few years ago, and preseason, and he was a starter, and he in a preseason game, usually they just play the starters for the first quarter. Well, they made him play the first full half, right? And he started, yelling and screaming at me the next day, this da 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 da. They just I should never come, blah 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 blah. And I go, let me get this straight. You're getting paid X of millions of dollars a year to play football, and you're pissed off because they made you play football? I go, really?
Right. Yeah, I'm not
Look,
quite following.
man, I'd love to have that first world problem. And you know how many other
Mhm.
hundreds of millions of people would love to have your first world problem? And I go, tomorrow I get to have a PET scan. And he goes, what's that? And I told him what a PET scan was, right? By the
Mhm.
time I was done, he goes, I went from Jim to Mr. Madrid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So again, you want to put it in perspective? Come on. And so if you
Yeah.
can just add that to, um, to your, whenever you're faced with a challenge, whether it's an organizational issue that just came up, above my son Jeremy's desk, behind his desk is a sign that says solutions only. And I think what we want to do is, as a society, let's talk about the problem. Let's talk about the problem and not what, the end result is. What are we looking to accomplish? And if we can become that end result thinker, look, I didn't goal set to be cancer free, Michael. I goal set to be healthy. Cancer was in the way.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't goal set to quit biting my fingernails. I goal set to have good looking, well manicured hands. You don't goal set to lose weight. You goal set to be healthy. Overweight is in the
Right.
way,
Yep.
right? So be, if you can just, but that vision's got to be there. And how do you articulate that vision, right? In your own words. And as long as it's in alignment with the organization, right? But the old school way of doing things is let's take all the executives out and go to a nice resort someplace, play some golf, eat some nice dinner, and come up with a vision, mission, and come back to the organization and go, here's where we're going. And like, what? That has nothing to do with me. And I think that we're coming to an age right now where we're going, the old school way of doing stuff has got to change. With AI, as we were talking about earlier, AI is, it's going to take over some jobs. Um, we got, we got rid of pagers years ago.
Yeah.
We figured
Right.
something else out, didn't we? Right?
Uh,
I mean, not too many people use fax machines anymore. And so, gosh, just think FedEx when it absolutely positively needs to be there overnight, right? It's like now it's in there in 2 seconds, So,
uh-huh. Yeah.
and that's technology. And if you look at what technology has done over the years, yes. So, you can be afraid of AI. You can sit there and go, oh, it's going to take my job. It just might, but you need to reinvent yourself and learn how to use AI. I use it. I use it. And
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, and yeah, from businesses, I mean, we have to adjust. We have to think of ways that we can actually take advantage of it, actually use it to help more people and make more impact. And
right.
when we have that vision and purpose, and we can use AI to help us make a bigger impact through that vision.
If you put that vision in there and purpose in there and then hit it and say, what are the things that, what are some of the things I need to work on right now? My organization needs to work on right now. What do I need to work on in leadership to lead this group? It'll blast it out to you. Or you can pay
Yeah.
somebody like me and please give me a call. I'll charge you up you know, to help you on that. And so I don't look at it as taking my job at all. I think it enhances it if anything.
Right.
So
Yeah. One thing I've been intrigued about is, like, since we're talking AI in business, is how AI can help put us in front of a lot more people a lot more efficiently. I mean, maybe you don't need them, honestly, you might have them knocking down your door, but have you used any AI approaches to connecting with more individuals or organizations out
no,
there?
it's and they're not knocking down the door because I'm on vacation for the last 6 weeks. So,
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
but
Your
no,
door is closed.
yeah, but and some people ask me, well, what do you do for marketing? And my marketing has always been word of mouth, and my business has
Hmm.
gone over the years. It's always been word of mouth, and it's that old Linda Ronstadt song. I think it's called "Let's Give Them Something to Talk About." You know,
Yeah.
and I think today, um, I mean, look at food service, right? You go into a restaurant, and in fact, my nephew and his family were here from Portland for the last week, and Joel and I went to the grocery store, and we asked one of the workers there who was stuffing the shelves with something, whatever, and I said, "Hey, where's this?" And he said, well, "It's right over here. Follow me." So he didn't just say, "Oh, go down there. It's on aisle 6, halfway down." No, he didn't say that. He took us right there and said, "It's this one or this one or this one. I prefer that one." Now that's service, right? See that I'm
That's the
used,
written, yeah.
right.
There's a whole
Now
book written about Ritz-Carlton service, and that's
that's
exactly what
right.
it's
Right.
about.
And,
Yeah,
and there it
yeah.
is, a complete difference than, pointing over there. And so I think that service today is a little scarce. But I'm in
Mm,
the mindset of how do I give them more than what they ask for? You know, uh, uh,
right,
you know, is just that added value, that value add, mindset that, what we negotiated for this. I know he wanted that. Oh, what the heck? I'll give it to him, and I get, and what you do is you get somebody going, "Hey, they're out to dinner with somebody and they go, we have this problem. We had this guy come in, da 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 da. In fact, Bellevue, Honda Auto Center of Bellevue in Washington and Linwood, Bellevue. They've been my clients for 10 years. And do I charge them all the time? No, but I do, and Jason Corder, the owner, he knows that, and we're not. He's not my client anymore. He's my friend, and so you're going to do this for
right,
a friend, And if you take it as a transaction, then instead of transformational, then you're going to have transaction, feedback all the time, right? And I want it to be, transformational. And so that's kind of how I approach it. Il Fornaio restaurants here on the West Coast. I was with them for 14 and a half years, and every once in a while I get a phone call from one of them. Do I say, "Oh, nope, that's under coaching. That's, $350 an hour." No, feel free. So, yeah,
I
so
mean,
I,
you have your story. Yeah, one thing I noticed too is your your multiple stories. Like you have like we've been talking about, but I don't really see a lot of. I mean, obviously on your sites I see it, but I don't see a lot of presence outside of your sites. I mean, is that something like you've thought about getting your story just to connect with more people out there?
I think on this round with this book, the response
Yeah,
we've received from the book, I think that's going to be there. We're going to go, we're right now
yeah,
strategizing right now for a book tour, a book signing tour. Years ago, I was on the Today Show. I'm reaching out to those connections again. They said, "Tell us when the book is out. We really would like to have it." I think we're going to have some pretty good on that. But it's going to be in a different way. I don't
because you
see my.
haven't, I haven't really seen much like on social media or anything. Like not necessarily Facebook or Instagram or wherever. I may maybe even LinkedIn, but like your story, which only comes across from you telling it. I don't see that out there a lot. Has that
Well,
been purposeful?
well, kind of. A um, little insight with me. Um, I'm not looking to be the Tony Robbins or any of
Right.
those gurus. Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, I've had people call me a guru, and I no, and I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm an educator. Okay. And so with that, um, you know, it's humbling for me sometimes. When I get a standing ovation or
Yeah.
when people stand in line to ask me for their autograph, my
Yeah.
self-talk, like, who, me? No, I'm just a kid out of a nasty neighborhood in Seattle, Washington called White Center, affectionately known as Rat City. You know, I'm not out
Oh my
there.
goodness.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
not out there, um, and so it's been a little purposeful. I do okay. My
Yeah.
wife and I, we do okay. My priority is my wife and my family, my kids. Now it's grandchildren,
Yeah.
and so I lead a pretty good life. Um, Now that they're all grown and out, I got time. You know, I'm not coaching
You know, when
soccer. Yeah,
you
and
mentioned being a guru, I would have to say I think you are a life guru for sure, just
right.
just purely based on what you have been through, and how you have, busted through those obstacles that, again, me personally, I often think when I'm faced with something like that, will I have what it takes to the mental fortitude to approach it in the ways that you have approached it. So this gives me some mental aspiration or inspiration as well, for sure. What do you like in the future? What do you think? What would you love to see as far as impact? Because I think that's the word that keeps coming to mind for me, for you. Is
Yeah,
6 to 12 months down the road, what kind of impact would you like you and your organization to make?
I think that what I would like is that this book, number one, gets to anybody that's going through what I've gone through. That's number one
Hmm.
priority to me. Okay. Um, it is, I had a good friend of ours. As soon as I was diagnosed, within days that I got home from the hospital, she was there, and she had been fighting colorectal cancer for 2 years. And to be able to talk to somebody, because there are those dark moments, um, in death, right? And my father died 2008 of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. His younger brother
Oh,
died in
wow.
2006 of pancreatic cancer. And
Hmm.
so, is it hereditary? They say no, but
Certainly makes you wonder, huh?
yeah. And going
Yeah.
through it with my father, my father died in my arms, in hospice,
Mm.
and I felt his last heartbeat and heard his last breath. Um, yeah. So at night when there's nobody around, you know, um, yeah, you start going down that. But
Yeah.
that's where, you know, it really helped with my family, what my wife said that later that day, my daughter Devin came in. She was laying next to me in my hospital bed, and she goes, "Dad." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "You have to remember one thing." I go, "What's that, honey?" And she goes, "You're Jim Madrid." You know, and and then I had, so I had on June of that year, I had a speaking, um, engagement in Park City, Utah for a group called Synergy. They are the Synergy group. They high profile chiropractors. And I called him up, Steve Levine. I called Steve up and I said, "Steve, here's what's going on." He goes, "Madrid, book your tickets. I know you. You'll be there." I'm the MC and run a conference for the timeshare resort industry. And we do one in Canada, we do one in Mexico, and one here in the US. And that one was going to be in Canada in Montreal that year. So I called up Paul, my partner, and I said, "Paul, da 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 da." And he goes, "Madrid, book your ticket." And so that's the kind of support you have, and the people that believe in you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let them down, especially my family. I'm not going to let them down. um, so you have that part there, and I think that if I could have that book and my message get out, that everybody's facing something, in the world we live in today. You look outside, and you see we're here on beautiful Orcas Island. I haven't watched the news. We were in Park City first, and then we came here, and then we're leaving for Jackson Hole tomorrow. We're
Nice.
only for
Yeah.
another week and a half. So you know I'm outside of all that, and my mind's just going crazy. But it's not, I mean, on what I can contribute, right? And I think we got to
Right.
shut down every
Exactly.
while. Um,
Hmm.
you look at social media and all I just swipe right through the negative stuff. I'm not going to.
Yes.
Years ago, when Trump was first running for presidency in 2016, and I got a cousin that's just great, and he started putting all this negative stuff up there. And just, so I told my daughter, I go, you want to see something? You want to see how misery loves company? Watch this. So I put up there, his name was
Mm,
Danny. Good, just like a brother to me. And I go, Danny, post something positive. I didn't say don't post anything negative. I said, post something
right.
positive. That's more like you. That's just like you. Some guy
Hmm.
responded, who I don't even know, was calling me an
Yeah.
MF moron, and I'm just going, I told my daughter, I go, see, I mean, they got nothing else better to do than to do that. Come on. If we could all just say, if you're
Yes.
on social media, post something positive. Get rid of all the negative stuff. Your belief of who you're going to vote for, what you believe in, and blah, 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 blah. Keep that to yourself. Share that with your family and friends if you want to, but good luck on that one, And instead of, we've seen such a divide, we just need more positivity and optimism in the world. And if we just added that, and if all of us could just post something nice today. If you're going to post something nice, not about what you're doing, da 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 da, but post something that can help make an impact. I've often
Spot
said
on.
that if somebody asked me the other day about my legacy, and I go, bringing up my children, my wife and I could give them a strong sense of self-esteem, a the just doing the right thing, and being part of the solution, and contributing to the world in a positive way, and a strong work ethic, and just good old doing treating people right. Then and a good work ethic, we've done our job. What happens happens. And I think we've done a pretty good job with our children, and now we just hope that they're doing the same thing with their children. We have six.
Right.
I've got my two youngest. My daughter's getting married. She lives in Australia. My daughter, Devin, is in Australia. Um, just a wonderful man that she met. And they're getting married in March of 2027 in Australia. Can't wait. Uh,
Nice. Yeah.
and when the guy asked me, when Ben asked me, I just said, yeah, as long as you have God in your life, you keep her safe, and then keep her happy. And I said, number three is on you, pal. That's going to be a tough one. And then my son, Ethan, he just got engaged. So we have two weddings in 2027, one in March and one in September of 2027. And, there's more grandkids to come there. And, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
and if they could carry on that legacy of, making a positive impact in the world, then I've done my job. I've left this
Right.
world in a better place.
Well, there's no doubt that they have a prime example of how to be positive and inspirational because that is
Thanks.
just who you are. You know what I love? I'll take it back just for a second. I love that you address that, it's not all going to be roses and Pollyanna and hunky dory.
No,
Like you, no matter how positive we are, we're going to have those times where we dip. But I think the big difference is dipping and acknowledging, and your baseline is positivity, so you're going to get back there, whereas unfortunately some people stay down there, right?
yeah.
So I think that's the big difference. I can't wait for your book to come out. I will be right there. This is totally my thing. So you're speaking my
You'll get a
language.
copy, Michael. You just need to send me
Yeah.
your address. Do you get an author's copy, Michael?
I appreciate that. I will absolutely be reading it and sharing it with my team too. And this has been such a wonderful way for me to spend a few minutes. And I just appreciate you and thank you for reminding me of the impact and the power of truly our mindset. I know that to be true, but sometimes we all need a good reminder. And this one has been a fantastic one for me. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, and if anybody wants to know more too, they can go to there's jimmadrid.com. There's meatballsandmindset.com. And then there's astacademy.com. So
I
those are,
hadn't found that one. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, meatballs
yeah,
and mindset.com. Well, good. I
.com.
was going to ask
Yeah,
you
we're
how
still
people should
we're
get in
still
touch
working
with you.
on
So thank you for sharing that.
it.
And we'll
Got it.
be, well, I will be watching. I'm sure we'll stay in touch, and I look forward to hearing more where things going about your book tour. I'll be watching for that too.
Michael, thanks for having me. Appreciate it very much.